What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the CU4 YouTube channel. It has been a while, but we are back with the videos after what seems to be the longest week of my life. But we are back here. Obviously, we missed the 5-minute previews this week, and of course the Altrincham and York reviews, which two very contrasting games, wasn't it? A great determination to beat Altrincham, and then a very flat and disappointing performance against York. And then we came into this game today, didn't we, looking for a reaction from that, a team that are at the top of the table against Rochdale today. And unfortunately, again, from Carlisle, we just couldn't get over the line in a game where we were very poor, very flat, and Rochdale deserved the 2-0 victory. Probably could have been more opportunities in the game, to be fair, but I thought Rochdale looked really good. They controlled the game. Don't think they were really in trouble of conceding in the game. I think we maybe had one opportunity that really could have been a lot more, but that was about it. Rochdale dominated the game. They dominated the possession. We set up very negatively. Hughes has said that he wanted a bit more help. And that's obviously why we went to a 5-back. But personally, I thought that tactic was wrong. I thought Hughes got a lot wrong today. I thought the team was sloppy in general. And I thought overall Rochdale, as I said, deserved the 2-0 victory. To begin, football is a escape from reality for a lot of people, of course, myself included, after probably the longest week. As I've said, getting away from life, getting away from teaching, getting away from just all your problems you have in your life. Just very, very disappointed from Carlisle. Again, that 90 minutes away from it all is supposed to be a celebration in a fashion, and unfortunately Carlisle proved once again that we're just unable to win the big games. I know people are going to obviously point to the playoffs, but how many occasions have Carlisle played in the big game or in front of a bigger crowd? Don't get me wrong. 7,000 Cumbrians today, absolutely fantastic, don't get me wrong, but I mean when we're talking 10 double digits in the thousands, where we just haven't put a performance in worth that crowd. And again today, playing against the team top of the table, we haven't put in a performance. Against York, we didn't put in a performance, a team that's going to be up there in the table. But I thought the 5-back to start was I thought it was a poor decision to make. I don't think it worked. I don't think the players were ready for it to work. I don't think they looked as if they knew what was happening, if that sort of makes sense. I just thought we were outnumbered in a lot of the positions. We had 3 in the midfield, but we looked outnumbered in the midfield. The fullbacks didn't really turn into attacking fullbacks, despite them being a wing-back. Josh Williams, nothing against him, but I don't think he looked match fit. I don't think he looked ready to be put into that wing-back position. He looked as if he was more playing as a right-back, tucked right in next to Feeney instead of getting up the pitch. Harper didn't really get up the pitch, and then Hughes changed that to make it a 4-back, and we went to a 4-3-3, what looked like. Josh Williams then became a winger, looked a little bit more lively on the wing, but again, we were getting overrun in the midfield. It left Feeney very, what's the word I'm looking for here? It left Feeney very vulnerable on the right-hand side, because he's a great defender, don't get me wrong, but he's not a right-back, and he definitely doesn't have the pace to keep up with Rochdale's attacking threat that they had. I thought Rochdale had that same ball every time just to get in behind Feeney, because it worked every time. And Carlisle didn't create a lot. Carlisle had one ball, which was a long ball over the top, and it didn't work once in the game. It was a really disappointing performance from Carlisle, but I thought it was good that we recognised it wasn't working and we switched up to a 4-3-3. We were already 1-0 down at that point. I thought the 5-back was a waste of time, to be perfectly honest. And then you're playing people slightly out of position. You've got a midfield 3 of Gilead, Whelan and McAdam, where you're probably looking at that's a very defensive midfield. There's not a lot of attacking threat, but then we were outnumbered in the midfield with that 3. Williams is a right winger. He's not a right winger. He's a right wing back. And even then, as I said, I don't think he looked ready to start the game. And then, of course, we changed it. I then thought at half-time. We would make them substitutes. We would bring a right-back on because we needed a right-back on the pitch. And it's nothing against Feeney, but he was just so vulnerable on that right-back position. And then you seen Jack Ellis coming on at half-time, and you thought, great, Ellis would go into right-back, and then Ellis went into midfield, and then it took another 15 minutes for us to realise that right-hand side is causing us problems. So then, we brought on Archie Davies, who should have come on a lot earlier. Feeney then went into centre-back after playing right of a free, then central centre-back, then right-back, and you're just like, oh my goodness, how many positions can you play in one match? But Carlisle just looked completely tactically inadequate and just very sloppy on the ball. I thought there was a lot of them on the ball that were very poor today. We were winning a lot of the first balls and there was nothing in the second ball, where Rochdale were a bit more up for it in the game with a bit more fight. Carlisle didn't really show any fight, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. I thought it was just a very poor and negative game from Carlisle. It was obviously good to see the likes of Feeney back in the side and stuff, but can we play him as a centre-back in the back four, please? And we didn't cause Rochdale any problems. We were too slow to react to balls. It's all the sort of simple things, really. It's all the things that basically what you could say is a repeat of last season in the fashion. But yeah, let's not go into that. But I thought the tactics were wrong. I thought Carlisle were poor. And the first goal, where normally I would just talk about the build up to the goal, we're going to sort of zoom out a little bit. It started with a slip from Williams, at the right back position, which gave them the ball. And then there seemed to be about 100 unchallenged passes. Obviously, that's an exaggeration, but Rochdale just played the ball in between them all. Very comfortably played the ball in between them all. Then Callum Whelan steps in way too early, beaten way too easily. A cross comes in, it's half cleared again. A low cross comes in. Feeney tried to get out to meet his man, but couldn't. Sort of looked as if he was not unaware, but he's playing as a free at that moment, so he doesn't need to be that deep in the box. He could have been out there quicker. Sort of starting position could have been out there, but he runs out. The cross comes in. I've no idea. Their big man up top has got a touch onto it. It's then bundled over the line. Thomas has tried to flick it back off the line. It was already in, by the way, absolutely. And then one of their players has smashed it in anyway to make sure. And then there was a bit of confusion. The linesman's obviously give the goal, and obviously people thought it was offside or whatever, but it was a goal. Absolutely no issues with the goal apart from Carlisle's defending of the goal. But it was a perfectly good goal from Rochdale, and it started to look like we were arguing in between ourselves, which I don't like. It's fine, but don't make a big thing of it with arms being thrown in the air and all this sort of stuff, blah, blah, blah. It didn't look good, and I thought Rochdale probably looked as if, they're there for the taking here, but Rochdale sort of sat back and controlled the possession and didn't really look as if they wanted a second goal, if that makes sense. We invited a lot of that pressure onto ourselves without causing them any issues. Don't get me wrong. As I'll keep saying, no issues with Rochdale winning. We're far the better team. But there's a cross from Linney that goes to nobody. There was no one in the box. This is the issue. We were winning that first ball, but we never had anybody in the position for the second ball. So there, Feeney and Williams as a duo just wasn't working. There just wasn't that outlet where maybe... And people won't like this comparison, but, Jack Harmer and John Mellish did it really well when we played the 5. Even when we played the 4, they would overlap each other really well. They would bring that attack really well together as a duo, but we just didn't have that with Feeney and Williams, which is probably something because they've never done it on the pitch together. They've done it in training and stuff, but they've never done it on the pitch, and they don't have that relationship with each other, but it wasn't really working. And then Rochdale, there was a moment in the first 20 minutes where Rochdale had 8 men in our attacking quarter of the pitch. And you're like, how is that? Because we are so deep. They've got so many men forward. We had no opportunity for the counter-attack. Their 2 defenders were absolutely fine by themselves. And it was just like, how is this? Do you know what I mean? This is like a top versus bottom side. Like a training exercise, an attack versus defence training exercise in a fashion. But there was an opportunity for... Rochdale hit the post again. It was Callum Whelan beaten too easily, and sort of steps in again, and the man just lovely little turn just to take it past Whelan. I had no idea what Whelan's doing, to be honest, but it's a low curving ball that hits the post, and Rochdale were lucky not to be in the lead by 2 goals or so, and that was the first 20 minutes, by the way. We've then switched to a 4-3-3. And then there was a horrible ball by Bevis McGarby to Feeney, an absolute suicide pass. Their lad gets in front of Feeney, takes it on, and then it was a really good opportunity from Rochdale from our mistake, and it's not the last time we make a mistake in the game, but their player just maybe picks the wrong ball. He's took a shot, but he probably could have done a bit more with it, and it was a good save in the end. There was then Linney had a couple of half chances, but half chances at best. That's maybe being generous, to be fair. And then another golden opportunity for Rochdale. Harper sort of just steps over the ball. Very strange, and then number 21 just gets it in, takes in the pace, and has a shot against Breeze. A shot straight at Breeze, easy save for Breeze, but again, just that little mistake has invited Rochdale onto us. Luckily, the shot was just straight at our goalkeeper, but then it's unbelievable from Carlisle. A ball over the top. Terrell Thomas has took a touch. He's tried to take it down, and the touch is really heavy. And I've got to say, it would have been a great assist for them if it went in, but oh my god, honestly, he's touched it down there. Lad just comes in and nicks it. I think he's two minds whether to pass it to the man in the middle or take the shot himself. He's ended up slipping, and that opportunity hasn't come to anything. But it was just it was just what's going on. Do you know what I mean? It would have been a great assist from Thomas, but another example of Carlisle inviting pressure onto themselves. Then there was a counter attack. Thomas is taking it forward. Thought he had a bit more time than he maybe expected, but he's played it to Josh Williams, who does well to use his pace to beat his man, and it's a fantastic cross from Josh Williams. But there's no one in the box, which was the story really. The first half of Carlisle, there was nobody there, so that was. That was unlucky, but it was good to see that, we had that opportunity, and then Rochdale continued to play that ball down the right hand side, getting in behind Morgan Feeney, and then there was an opportunity where Regan Linney, it's sort of just outside of their box, maybe a bit further up the pitch, and Linney goes down, and of course you shout for it, of course you do. It's never a foul, by the way, I just want to put that out there. But then Rochdale just get up and get on with it, where Carlisle are too busy trying to claim it was a free kick, and Rochdale then go over, get a decent crossing and hit the ball over the bar, and Carlisle just sort of switched off for like 1-2 seconds, waiting for the free kick, but Linney's looking for that free kick for me, and there's nothing in it, in my opinion. I know people will probably agree with that, but anyway, and then there was a great cross right at the end of the first half, and Harper just taps it wide. I want to say he could have done better, but it's a difficult opportunity with the pace on the ball coming in, but disappointed that we couldn't equalise. And then really not a lot changed in the second half. We brought some subs on the half time, didn't change the formation, stayed with the 4-3-3, and then there was some good play from Rochdale, to be fair. Decent ball in behind, and their finish with a good their striker with a good finish, good strong finish into the bottom corner to make it 2-0 to Rochdale. Really took the sting out of the game, really took the wind out of the sails for Carlisle, and really ended the game in about the 50th minute or whenever it was. But decent play from Rochdale, fully deserving of the lead. Carlisle didn't really produce a lot. We had a bit of possession, but never really attacked with it. Luamba had a couple of good spells. There was a good bit where he took his man on. Cross came to nothing. A good ball in behind to Luamba again. The cross comes to nothing. Linney has an opportunity again, but nothing really. Linney takes a man on. Cross comes in to nothing. And then Linney's booked for diving earlier in the second half. And then there's a penalty shot late on where the man just come across Linney, and obviously everyone's in the for a penalty. But for me, it wasn't a penalty. I thought the defenders just come across Linney. I don't really think there was a real infringement in it for it to be given a penalty on first viewing. Happily to be proved wrong watching the replay or whatever, but on first viewing I thought it was a fair challenge. And then Luamba had a good opportunity where he forced a good save on their goalkeeper. Their goalkeeper goes down in pain with the collision with Luamba, and then they've got no goalkeeper in there because he's rolling around in pain. Just shoot. I think Linney did try and shoot and it was blocked, and then the referees blew the whistle, which I think is a strange one because it wasn't a head injury, but hey ho. And sort of the game fizzled out, really. Carlisle didn't create enough in the game. Rochdale were much the better side, and Carlisle United, unfortunately, with 2 big tests and 2 defeats, 7 goals conceded. The first 10 games of the season, we looked great, don't get me wrong, playing against weaker opposition and everything's all rosy and sunshines and perfection and stuff, but we've come against the 2 promotion sides in Rochdale and York, and we've really struggled to adapt to what would be sort of a lower League 2 side. Is it similar to last season, really? We've been outplayed, we've been outfought, we've been out-battled on the pitch, and Rochdale come away with a comfortable 2-0 win at Brunton Park. Great to see, decent away end though, first time in a while. Hopefully Hartlepool will do that again on Wednesday, bring a decent following, and hopefully we can beat the Monkey Hangers at Brunton Park. But that's probably the one positive I'll take out of today. Well, 2 positives. Feeney's back, good, great for that, get him straight at centre-back next game. And we have an opportunity to bounce back on a Wednesday night, make it a horrible game for Hartlepool and hopefully bounce back into winning form. But what are your thoughts on the game? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for the support on the channel, and apologies for no uploads as of late. But hopefully back to normal now. But life just gets in the way sometimes. But I've been CU4. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.